If you grew up in America during the 1970s, there was one vehicle that didn't quite fit into any single category. It wasn't just a work vehicle. It wasn't just a family car. And it definitely wasn't just transportation. It was the van. And more often than not, it was a Chevy G-Series. The Chevy G-Series didn't try to look refined. It didn't try to look elegant. It didn't even try to look safe in the modern sense. It looked useful. In the 1970s, usefulness mattered more than image. America was stretched wide. Jobs were spread out. Families were growing. And people needed something that could do more than one thing well. The G-Series answered that need. It showed up everywhere. At construction sites early in the morning, parked outside small businesses, loaded with tools, ladders, and equipment. And then, without changing anything at all, the same van would carry kids home from school in the afternoon and groceries in the evening. There was no clear line between work life and family life. The van erased that line. Inside a Chevy G-Series, space was the main feature. Not comfort, not design. Space. You could stand up partway. You could move around. You could load almost anything inside. That space changed how people used it. For workers, it was a mobile workshop. For families, it was a moving room. For some, it became something else entirely. Freedom. In the 1970s, freedom didn't always look like sports cars or motorcycles. Sometimes it looked like a van with nothing in the back. Bench seats, a mattress, a cooler, a radio playing softly. The Chevy G-Series became a symbol of a certain kind of quiet escape. Not rebellion, but flexibility. You could work all week, then load the van on Friday night and drive somewhere you hadn't planned on going. No reservations, no schedules, just the road and enough space to make it work. For children growing up in these vans, the experience felt different from cars. You didn't sit low. You didn't feel contained. You felt surrounded by possibility. You sat on wide benches or improvised seats. You lay on the floor during long drives. You looked out large side windows and watched the country change slowly. From farms to towns, from highways to dirt roads. The van made distance feel manageable. Parents driving a G-Series weren't trying to impress anyone. They needed something practical, something adaptable, something they could depend on. The van started in the morning. It carried what needed to be carried, and it brought everyone home. That reliability mattered. In a decade marked by economic uncertainty, oil shocks, and job instability, the Chevy G-Series represented resilience. You didn't need different vehicles for different parts of your life. You needed one that could do it all. The G-Series did. It didn't care what role it played that day. Work truck, family car, weekend escape. It accepted them all. Inside, the van was rarely quiet. Tools rattled, children talked, engines hummed loudly beneath the floor. But there was a sense of togetherness in that noise. Everyone was in the same space. No separate rows, no distance between front and back. Life happened close together. Kids heard adult conversations. Adults heard children's questions. Nothing was filtered. The van didn't separate generations. It blended them. For many families, the Chevy G-Series became part of their identity. Not because it was stylish, but because it was honest. It didn't pretend to be anything else. It was a box on wheels that carried lives forward. As the decade moved on, vans would eventually be replaced. Minivans arrived. SUVs followed. Vehicles became more specialized again. But in the 1970s, the Chevy G-Series stood in a rare middle ground. One vehicle, many roles. Work, family, freedom. And for the people who lived inside that balance, even briefly, the memory stayed. For children growing up inside a Chevy G-Series, the van didn't feel like a vehicle. It felt like a place. A place where rules softened, where posture didn't matter, where time stretched out.
Are you getting that on camera?
You didn't sit still the way you did in cars. You shifted, you moved. You lay down when the road got long. The van allowed that. From the back, you watched the road through wide side windows. You saw fields give way to towns, gas stations appear and disappear, America passing by slowly, mile after mile. There was no clear front and back. Everyone shared the same space. Parents were close enough to hear every question. Kids were close enough to hear every adult conversation. Nothing was hidden. That closeness shaped something important. You learned how life blended together. Work wasn't separate from family. Responsibility wasn't separate from freedom. They existed in the same space. The Chevy G-Series carried work during the week. Ladders, toolboxes, supplies. Then, without changing much, it carried something else on the weekend. Sleeping bags, coolers, folded blankets. Sometimes, there was no plan at all. You just drove. That kind of freedom didn't require money. It required flexibility. The van offered that. You could pull over anywhere. You could stop early. You could keep going longer than planned. For families who lived carefully during the week, this felt like escape. Not escape from responsibility. Escape within it. Parents didn't stop being parents. They just relaxed the edges. They talked more. They laughed more. They allowed silence to exist without pressure. The van absorbed all of it. It wasn't quiet inside. The engine was loud, the road noise constant. But it was a shared noise. Everyone experienced it together. That mattered. Kids learned that freedom didn't always mean silence or isolation. Sometimes it meant being close, being flexible, being okay with discomfort. The Chevy G-Series didn't try to protect you from the world. It let you experience it directly. Heat in the summer, cold in the winter, wind pushing against the sides.
Perfect.
You felt travel instead of being insulated from it. That sensation stayed with people. It taught them that movement required effort, that freedom wasn't frictionless. In the late 1970s, van culture grew quietly. Not just families, but workers, musicians, travelers. The same vehicle carried different lives.
Are you getting that on camera?
Some vans stayed plain and practical. Others were customized. Curtains, carpeted walls, extra seats. Each one reflected the person who lived inside it. But at its core, the Chevy G-Series remained the same. A box on wheels, ready for whatever role was needed next. As the years passed, the idea of one vehicle doing everything began to fade. Life became more segmented. Work vehicles, family vehicles, recreation vehicles. Everything had its place. The G-Series belonged to a time before that separation. A time when people adapted instead of upgrading. Eventually, the van disappeared from everyday family life. Minivans offered convenience. SUVs offered comfort. Specialization replaced flexibility. The Chevy G-Series didn't compete with that future. It didn't need to. Its role had already been played. Today, when people see an old Chevy G-Series, they don't think about features or performance. They think about possibility. About roads taken without planning. About weekends that felt open. About a life where one vehicle carried everything that mattered. For those who grew up inside them, the memory is physical. The sound, the space, the closeness. The Chevy G-Series didn't define freedom the way movies did. It defined it the way life did. Messy, flexible, shared. It didn't promise escape from responsibility. It showed how responsibility and freedom could exist together. One vehicle, many roles. Work, family, freedom. And for a brief moment in American life, that balance felt possible.